I've always considered myself a storyteller, a documentary photographer. You see things, you're curious, you observe life, and you record it, you photograph it, you make a quick sketch with your camera, and that's basically what I still do today. The thing that fascinates me about, I think, life and traveling is that although we live in different cultures, different religions, different places, eat differently, dress differently, fundamentally we're all the same human beings. We just happen to do things in different ways. This is a picture I made in 1984 of a young Afghan refugee girl named Sharbat Gula. She had been an orphan and had come to this refugee camp with her brothers and sisters. And I photographed her one afternoon in a school. She was attending a school in a tent. And I heard these voices coming from this tent, and I went over and walked in, and I saw that all these girls were sitting on the floor. And I asked the teacher if I could photograph. So I went in and I saw her in the corner of the room with these amazing eyes and this incredible look. And I knew as soon as I saw her that this was an amazing individual and that it would make a great portrait. For me, portraiture is really a study in humanity, and it's a way to explore the similarities and the differences among us. I've always wanted to come to portraiture with an empathy and draw out the humanity in people and really get beneath the skin and really show people their true nature. This is a portrait of Aung San Suu Kyi. She had won the Nobel Peace Prize just before I photographed her in Rangoon. She was the most amazing individual I think I've ever photographed. She, feminine, pretty, smart, articulate, very determined. He had been in the monastery since he was like 7 years old. I was just astonished at the fact that he had spent almost his entire life in this monastery and meditation and Buddhist practice. And had these kind of wonderful lines in his face. I was in China in September of 2001 working on a story on Buddhism. I came home the night of September the 10th, very tired, very jet lagged. I went to bed almost immediately. And when I got up that morning, I went down to my office to look at my mail, and I got a phone call from somebody who said, look out your window, the World Trade Center, both towers are on fire. So I literally grabbed my camera, which was still unpacked from the night before, and I went up on the elevator in my building on the roof and started photographing. And as I was shooting, the first tower went down. This is actually just when the first tower collapsed. After I made this picture, I went down to ground zero and spent the entire day documenting what was going on. having witnessed and photographed and lived amongst these kinds of people in these situations, you really, I think, have to question human nature and what's going to happen to this planet moving forward. There's so much greed, and you start to think that maybe there's, in fact, really no hope for this planet that we live on. There was a time when we were all very distinct, and if you were Italian or American or Chinese or Russian or African, and that's disappearing. And to me, it's sort of an end of an era. Civilization on this planet is in a state of transition, and to me, it's kind of as a melancholy, kind of a sadness or remorse of the loss of that. Because to me it was so wonderful how things developed over hundreds of thousands of years, and then within a generation or two they're gone, lost forever. Still photography allowed me to have this sort of wonderful way of wandering and exploring the world at my own pace, in my own way. It's sort of a solitary endeavor. Walking down a street of a village or a town or a city is really a very kind of meditative practice. When I think back on my life, I think this is some of the most enjoyable times I've had, just literally walking through the streets of, Rangoon, or trekking through Ladakh or Tibet, and just enjoying being alive.